Hi, my name is Ellen Holste, and I was a 2013-2014 P.E.O. Scholar Award recipient. The chapter that nominated me for this award was Chapter BB from Humboldt, Iowa. And it was really special that this chapter nominated me because this was my hometown chapter. This was the chapter that initiated me in 2000. This is the chapter that I grew up with. I was a PEO legacy. So my mom was a PEO, my grandmother was a PEO, my sister is a PEO. And PEO has always been a very special part of my life. Ever since I was a little girl, I always remember my mom dressing up and going to PEO meetings. And I always wanted to know, what did PEO stand for? And she always told me, well, it's Papa Eats Out or it's people eating onions. Now I'll let you in a little secret. I never believed either of those. For me, PEO was the people. Now, if you think of the word PEO or people, it starts with that PEO. And when I was a little girl, I used to get the E and the O confused in the word people. So it was kind of ironic that PEO helped teach me how to spell people. Because to me, PEO is all about the people, supporting women, supporting education. When I finished my undergraduate degree in biology, I went into the Peace Corps. And going into the Peace Corps for me was an idea of how do I help people? How do I connect people to each other and to the land? So I was sent to Guatemala and I taught people how to do organic gardening. I taught people a little bit about food and nutrition and how to connect people to the land that they may have grown coffee on, but they didn't know how to feed themselves in a more healthy and sustainable way. Unfortunately, during the time that I was in Guatemala, Hurricane Stan came through. Now, Hurricane Stan came through the same time as Hurricane Katrina in the United States, so you may not have heard of Hurricane Stan, but it was just as devastating. Not only did it wipe out a lot of the projects that I had been working on with a lot of these people all through this time, but it also wiped out entire villages. And it really illustrated to me the effects of deforestation on the land and how landslides can just happen so quickly. So I was really interested in tropical restoration or reforestation when I went to graduate school. I got my master's in forestry from Michigan State University, and then I went on to my PhD program, also at Michigan State University. And I wanted to figure out, how do we get some of these pasture lands? How do we get some of these really degraded, really nutrient poor landscapes back to a reforested landscape that can help not only protect people, but also people can use a little bit better. So I did a lot of my projects and a lot of my research down in Costa Rica, very similar to Guatemala in terms of the environment. And I was interested in the soil nutrients. So in a lot of these areas, you get a lot of rain and those soil nutrients get washed away, as well as a type of fungus that's called mycorrhizal fungi. Now, when you hear the word fungi, you're like, wait a minute, what is that? What I'm basically talking about is I'm talking about a mushroom, but I'm talking about that underground layer of mushrooms. And 80 to 90% of all land plants have this association with a type of fungi. You just don't see it because it's all below ground, but they do help the plants grow and survive. So I was interested, how could we use these relationships between the fungus, between the plants and the soil nutrients to actually reforest these lands? So I did a lot of plantings on the lands. I did a lot of faith plantings because I had the money to start off a lot of these projects. Thankfully, I'd given money to have my tuition paid for. Unfortunately, I didn't know where the money was going to come from in the end in terms of finishing up my projects, analyzing my results. And this is where PEO came in. I was nominated for the PEO Scholar Award and received it. And if I had not received it, who knows where I would have been today. I actually spoke many years ago, about 8 years ago, at the 2014 PEO convention about what research I was doing at the time. Now, at the time, not only was I working on my research, but I was also interning with the US Forest Service in Washington, DC over the summer, as well as, you may not have known, I was 4 months pregnant with my son. So a lot was happening. But because of the PEO Scholar Award, I was able to earn my doctoral degree. I was able to finish up those projects. I was able to earn my degree, and I was also able to publish my results. And it was really cool because not only did I publish all three of the projects that I was working on for my doctoral degree, but I was also able to put in my acknowledgements the PEO Scholar Award as one of the funding sources that I received. This was a full circle for me. So after I received my degree, I actually worked in science education for a little while. We worked on some science curriculum for middle school and high school students, trying to better understand how students interpreted things in terms of the cycling of carbon in the environment, in terms of how they actually determined what was going on, but basically environmental literacy is how we're teaching actually getting through to them. And I was able to use some of my research in this science education. But it really lit a fire under me in terms of science education and science communication. I really wanted to get the latest science into people's hands to have them really connect to that science, connect to nature. So I started a job in science communication. I work for an organization called Pierce Cedar Creek Institute, which is in Southwest Michigan. We're part nature center, part biological field station, part science education center. So we do research, but we also teach people. And we teach people at all ages. Sometimes people like to say from cradle to grave. I like to say lifelong learners, from students to lifelong learners. But we do everything from hikes to workshops. But really the idea is making science and nature accessible to all. And we do that in a variety of ways, as well as even during the pandemic, we were able to be interviewed by a podcast, a 9-year-old podcaster. I talk to journalists, we make YouTube videos, we do Facebook videos. These are all different ways to get people out in nature and to get people connected to science so that they can better understand it and then better use that science for their future endeavors or just in their everyday life. And so I want to thank PEO for helping to make my dreams and my life a possibility. I love this quote by Benjamin Franklin. Tell me and I forget, teach me and I remember, involve me and I learn. And as a PEO member, I am actually currently a member of Chapter BV in East Lansing, Michigan. And it's come full circle. This past year, I was able to nominate someone for the Scholar Award. So because of the support of PEO, I am who I am and where I am today. So thank you so much.